And so you talked about this a bit before, but in terms of the origins of Ayurveda and some of the ancient rishis and physicians that sort of propagated Ayurveda back in the day, could you expound on that a little bit?
Yeah, so Ayurveda, there's this fantastical origin story of Ayurveda. And then there are these physician scientists. I call them sage scientists because they were sage scientists, like Atreya, Nagarjuna, Vagbhata, Shushruta. You know, these gentlemen were products of lineages of knowledge. And then they were the ones who wrote it all down, who had these Nagarjuna was a Buddhist, and
Yeah.
Jivaka, Buddha's own personal physician, again a Buddhist, and the Buddha himself is called Bhaishya Guru, the guru of all healers. He himself was an Ayurveda physician. They did not call themselves Ayurveda physician. They were healers. They were
Yeah.
physicians. They used all the tools they knew, and at each time, different these great intellectual minds decided to write it down because the knowledge was getting scattered. It was within several clans and new things were coming in that was distorting it. So they pulled it all together and created an encyclopedia and passed it on. So these guys were actually doing cadaver dissections. So there's information about it in Sushruta's way of describing soft tissue and the harder tissues of the body. Like his soft tissue knowledge is off. And from that, the archaeologists are able to deduce that they were studying decaying corpses from the Ganges to understand anatomy and physiology. So these guys were scientists. They were looking at stuff and saying, they were making their hypothesis, they were testing it, trial and error. They had a scientific procedure, just as scientists have it right now. You make a hypothesis, you do your experiment, and then you look at your results. And so these guys were absolutely following these methodologies.
Yeah. So there you go, Action Tribe. It was not just a bunch of people coming together and doing some healing. It was a very advanced level of medicine, right? Which had different branches, and they were like scientists trying to replicate the same outcome and testing and experimenting and hypothesizing. So it was an interesting time in India back in the days. And so Salila, you've mentioned that Ayurveda, just like yoga, has an Ashtanga also, right? 8 branches.
Mm-hmm.
So could you give us an overview of some of the branches?
Before I give you that, I quickly want to say that Sushruta is actually the father of surgery all over the world. He's the father of cosmetic surgery and the father of surgery. And the procedure of nasal reconstruction is something that India has given to the world. So yeah, they were not just a bunch of guys just slapping each other's backs and coming up with stuff. Yeah. So
for sure.
Yoga has I believe 8 is a good number. So different Vedas, different streams of knowledge have divisions of 8 to kind of. Indians were the original encyclopedia writers. They love studying things to death. We love to study a subject and really understand it, classify it, codify it, write it down. We love those bullet points. We were the original bullet point makers. So in Ayurveda also, there were 8 branches of different types of medicines that they studied. So some of it was associated with the mind, psychiatry, some of it with children, some of it with geriatrics, some of it surgery, some of it is women's health, gynecology. So those 8 branches comprise the 8 branches of medicine that created an entire holistic Ayurvedic medicinal system.
Yeah, interesting. It just gives context to people who are listening as to how advanced our medicine was back in the day. And